Tim McGeaney, and we appreciate you watching our broadcast. Tim, that this afternoon features two teams vying for postseason play in the CAA.
A de facto playoff game here on the Jersey Shore today. Can't ask for anything better.
Towson and the Tigers at 3-2. We'll keep an eye on their impact player, and we begin our look. We look at a freshman, but first a senior in Nick DeMeo.
Nick DeMeo, the senior from San Diego, California, is the reigning CAA Offensive Player of the Week. Last week alone, tallied 11 points. He had 5 goals, 6 assists in 2 games. Leads the team in points with 35. He is the catalyst of the Tigers' offense.
Top 10 in both goals and assists in the league. He's the senior. Well, let's look at one of the best young players in the league, and Monmouth's leading scorer, freshman Ty Caffarelli.
Caffarelli, again, another Newport Beach, California product, had a career-high 5 goals in the near victory last week against Fairfield. His 25 goals so far this season is a single-season freshman record for the Hawks.
Caffarelli's the freshman, DeMeo's the senior, from the same part of the country in Southern California. And Tim, we take a closer look at this duo. You mentioned the growth of the game on previous broadcasts. We're seeing it today.
We are. I mean, what better place to play lacrosse in California? You got weather like this almost all the time. So it's just great. It's a great part of the game that we're seeing both on the men's and women's side, the growth of the game. But getting back to these two kind of the opposite ends of their careers, obviously, but both goal scorers, distributor for DeMeo. He's just not a goal scorer, though. He had 6 assists in 1 game against Hofstra this year.
A couple weeks ago, Tim and I were doing a game, and at the time, Towson had, and they still have, a losing record. They're 4-8, and Tim called them the best team in the country at the record they had. And since then, all they've done is win their last 2 games in the CAA. They had an excellent performance against a nationally ranked Denver team, and they have as good a chance as any, Tim, to win this conference.
I think they do, and I said it at the time because I watched 2 of their games. I watched them take Loyola, who at the time was a top 10 team, to overtime. I saw their game against UVA, who's you could say, one of the top 3 teams in the country, and they stood with them toe-to-toe for 3 quarters. And then, as you said, Denver, losing by 2 goals to a top 15 Denver program, top 10. And this is a really, really good program.
And an excellent matchup at the Face-Off X, which featured Monmouth's Matt Sutar and Towson's Matt Constantinides. Constantinides wins the initial face-off, but Monmouth's defense comes up with a stop. That'll be a great matchup. There's great individual matchups to keep an eye on the field all afternoon long.
Absolutely. Great storyline. We always talk about possession. Excellent effort there, and he stays in bounds.
That was Reese Potter, the short stick defensive midi. The defenses right now, we're not even a minute in, and the defenses are saying, we're going to start telling this story today.
That's fine, and no surprise, and we'll get into it more with these 2 head coaches in terms of their defensive orientation. But again, Towson, the midfield play is going to be critical, especially at the face-off dot. These are probably 2 of the best in the conference in terms of facing off, so that's going to be a wonderful matchup to watch today.
Spinning and finishing, and an initial lead for Towson. It's their impact player, Nick DeMeo.
Great job by DeMeo, and he uses his big frame, and he literally gets in, just like basketball. You get into the defensive player, which creates space right there, boom, and turns a quick shot, the little question mark dodge. That's just an excellent finish right there. Good quick start for the Tigers.
You mentioned DeMeo, just so strong, just backing down freshman Miles Edmiston for the finish. You know, DeMeo's a California kid. You mentioned he's from San Diego, but he started his college career at Maryland.
Yep.
Now he's at Towson. He's just a regular Maryland guy now.
Now he's a Maryland guy. Now he probably has a Maryland crab bumper sticker on his car. He's given up the San Diego roots. He's a Maryland boy. We'll take him. I mean, I got a Maryland crab sticker on my car. I mean, I got to represent here in New Jersey. But
did you feel at home when you saw the Baltimore Ravens bus there and then the Baltimore Orioles bus over on the other side of campus?
You know, it really warmed my heart here. The Orioles are having a good. We just need. I mean, for the Ravens, we got to re-sign Lamar. We got to figure out what's going on there. But getting back to business here, first possession here for the Hawks. Nice wing dodge there. You got to keep the ball hot here against this really fundamentally sound Towson Tigers defense.
And they allow about 11 goals a matchup, but they've been playing excellent of late. Monmouth keeping it hot. That's Caffarelli right in front, who overshot.
And that's Caffarelli's game. He is, while he doesn't, his role is to score goals. Yeah, I think he's got 2 assists on the season. But it's not him being, it's my ball. It's him getting open just like that and being able to finish in tight. Got a nose for the goal, and he can finish.
Goes through the stick of Caden Kesserling. Monmouth indeed does keep it hot. And right on the doorstep, a huge stop. What a save by Evan Long.
A great save for Long. Great story there as well, which we'll get into later in the broadcast. But right on the doorstep as a goalie, those are nice. They can, even though it's early in the game, that sets a nice tone for him today. And we got an opportunity here. Don't really see numbers, but they're transitioning down.
Off the post, it rings for Brandon Hund.
So we can see early already Towson is testing. They're shooting high. They've had a couple shots here. Everything's high. So that looks like that was probably part of the scout. And we'll keep an eye on that. See how that maybe modifies throughout the game.
Well, you mentioned Evan Long, and we'll talk more about him later. Second in the league in goals against and in save percentage. Helping key this attack. Coleman knocks it away. It was a shot from Josh Weber.
And just as I say that, Weber tests him low, but Coleman is really good down low. Plays with a wider base. So again, that just allows him to get down to those low shots a bit quicker. Looks like we will have, because he did save that, the officials are calling for a reset of the shot clock, not to 80, but to 60.
Here's Joaquin Villagomez. Towson has won its last 2 CAA matchups, sandwiched around a close loss to Denver. Monmouth runs a double team. And a whistle here with 11:25 and counting. I think this is going to be shot clock related. The shot clock mid-possession reset.
Exactly, you are correct. And it's, again, being an official, you've got so much to worry about, but one of them is they also have to keep an eye on the shot clock, but they also keep it on themselves. One of the officials is designated to personally keep the shot clock, and that was a great pickup by the official to make sure that everybody then on the field is cognizant of what the shot clock actually is.
1-0 Towson lead. Goal from DeMeo, who controls here. Shoots wide. It'll stay with the Tigers, with Villagomez giving chase.
Quigg had that matchup on DeMeo, so again, you can just see different defenders, different things they're trying to do. That shot's wide. Looks like that's going to be an excellent run out by the Hawks to regain possession. Probably an ill-advised shot, but good defense, again, for just obstructing the Towson player from really getting his body turned around, and clearing the ball is going to be ever so important because every possession is going to matter in this game.
2 straight Tiger looks that were kind of the same with that dodge from behind the cage. As now Monmouth will get into its settled attack here. About 4.5 gone by in the first quarter. Monmouth team that comes in just over 9 goals a game. It's 7th in the CAA. We know how Brian Fisher's built his team with defense over the years, but someone in addition to Caffarelli is going to need to step up today.
It is so true, Eddie. And I was talking to Coach on the field before the game, and he said at one point last week there were 5 freshmen on the field. 5 freshmen on the field for them. So again, which is a great sign for the longevity of the program, but obviously we're in a, what have you done for me lately position. But it's, again, kudos to Coach Fisher for continuing to recruit. And he doesn't get a lot of 5 stars, but he gets a lot of guys that are just grinders and want to play and love the game. And that's really, that's been the story for his 10-year career so far here at Monmouth.
And you mentioned it, 10 seasons, 2 times to the NCAA tournament for the former Rutgers Scarlet Knight, Brian Fisher. While on the opposite sideline in his 12th season, Sean Nadalin, who's done an excellent job with a traditionally strong Tigers program. Last season, a regular season championship, fell just short of another NCAA bid.
They did, and I have a personal relationship with both coaches. You know, we've talked about on previous broadcasts. Was a volunteer at Rutgers during, you know, the tenure of Coach Fisher as a face-off specialist. Got an opportunity here. Good offense, you know, right there, trying to get to the middle of the field, and it did just that. But you know, patience pays off here. And Lacewell, it looked like back from what looked to be a difficult injury, so it's great to see him back in the lineup as well. He's such a critical part of that rope unit, that one of the short stick defensive midfielders.
He now draws the defensive assignment, 19 to shoot. And Monmouth defensively has, at least Tim so far, been up to the task. With 8.5 to go, that defense has played well.
They have. It really has. And this is going to be the second failed clear. And again, that is just difficult. You know, when you're a team that relies so heavily on your defense, you need to make sure that you do all of the little things, all of the fundamental things well. And that includes clearing the ball, just giving your defense an opportunity to rest and regroup. And that just, again, that's the second time already here within 6 minutes of the opening whistle.
Yeah, already in this first quarter, Monmouth's defensive unit has had to play a lot of engaged minutes. A lot of the action has been concentrated to our left and the left of your screen that you're watching on, with Towson controlling. That big rip from Josh Weber was deflected. Stays with the Tigers. Huge shot and finish. Kyle Berkeley makes it 2-0.
Berkeley adds 8. He's got 18 on the year, makes it 19 there. Opportunistic ground ball off of the shot deflection, and he gets room and time and just rips it high. Great angle here, and you can see he just stings the corner. Yes, it was stick side high on the goalie, but when you can shoot that hard from that range, that ball is going to go in 2-0 for the Tigers early here in the first. Eddie gets right back to it. Failed clear. Gives them another opportunity. Kudos to Towson. They took advantage of it, giving them a 2-0 lead. That's why those little things are so critical. Possessions are so critical.
And the face-off looked to initially be won by Constantinides, and indeed, it will be another win for the sophomore from New Fairfield, Connecticut.
And as we had talked about early on, just a great matchup between these two. Sutar, again, had a great game last week. Can't say enough about his play.
See the numbers on Constantinides, second in the league. Towson, for the first half of the first quarter, dominating the action and continuing to do so. Berkeley adds to his total.
So right there, Berkeley just used his size advantage. He knew he had a good matchup. He had one of the short sticks behind it X, and you can see, watch what he does here, realizes it. You can see the height advantage there. He just drives in and shoots high to high. All 3 goals that have been scored so far have been neck up, and that is something obviously from the scout. You know, Coach Nadalin and his team are doing that on purpose. They feel that's an opportunity for them. What Monmouth is going to need to do there, they've got to recognize if they've got to go early and they've got a matchup that is not favorable, they need to get help, and help quick.
The matchup at the face-off dot is a great one between Constantinides and Sutar, who's third in the league in that number and has had some huge games. And the way this game has gone already, Tim, he's going to need a massive game this afternoon to keep Monmouth into it. Already 3-0 Tigers.
He will. Because we're going to need possessions. You can see if you have unforced errors, and that just put more pressure on your defense, your goalie, and your face-off man to somehow create those opportunities and those extra possessions.
Here is one of the freshmen that saw that extended time that Tim was referencing earlier. That was Caden Kesserling. Started this attack for Monmouth as they look to get on the board middle part of the first quarter.
Monmouth doing a lot of their offensive initiations from the wings and from up top. That's good defense right there. Good body, good check.
Kesselring checked off his line by one of the veterans for the Tigers, as now there's just 8 seconds to shoot. Here's Cade Stratton. Stratton trying to get something going, and that shot clock will ultimately run out. You're really seeing a physical Tigers defense.
They really are, and that really was not a bad shot at all, because from a goalie's perspective, you're just not used to seeing that. There was some traffic. It was a, kind of a scoop shot behind the hip. Not a bad take right there with the shot clock, running down in that situation. You can see Towson here has an opportunity to come down, see if they'll take advantage of it.
Oh, downhill, running with a head of steam was Hund, who took a big shot.
With possession, push with possession, so that'll be a technical foul. 30 seconds, so we'll get to see the Towson man-up unit for the first time today.
We'll take another look at it, and while you see that replay, the Tigers man-up unit, Tim, has had the second fewest chances in the CAA, just 33 opportunities. They're tied with Fairfield for the fewest goals scored in this instance, but like their season has gone, playing much better of late.
Absolutely, and that's just one of those things where you don't get a lot of EMO chances. Why is that? It depends. You've played a lot of really competitive teams that typically don't foul, and so you don't have many chances. But this will be an important stop already in the game for Monmouth. We got an opportunity here. That looked like off of the head. Wow.
Yeah, big shot from Berkeley. I think it took a lot of Jack Gertie. Lacewell pokes it away, and Monmouth will be able to kill off the penalty that was called on Lacewell. That's the big stop that you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Coleman, I think, did a really nice job. And again, when things happen that close, we get another turnover. That's 3 so far. Towson's going to just settle it down. They're still a man up. And look at this coming up here. We have an opportunity right. Oh, it went right off his stick. That is why we always talk about it. If you're a defensive player, you do anything you can to try to disrupt the rhythm of the shot. In that case, it hit off his pole. They'll take it, though. That's a blocked shot.
Yeah, like you said, you got to come up with stops by any means necessary. Pass in front for Villagomez, and Monmouth doing a good job of being scrappy. And this will go against the Tigers hanging around with 4 minutes to go in the opening quarter.
Yeah, and that was again, you hate to say it, but in a playoff game, basically what this is for the Hawks, that was a very important stop right there.
Yeah, no room for error. Monmouth hasn't been eliminated, but at just 1-4 in the league, they have little to really no room for error. They really need to win this week and win next week and get help to try to get into the postseason.
It's true. They definitely need some help, but this is a great opportunity for a very young squad already in the season. What a check. And then probably a push in the back.
Yeah, and ultimately called.
That looked to be, that's what they call a rusty gate. That was a phenomenal check right there. Take the ball away, but then he was a push, loose ball push.
Yeah, that was a tough call against Reese Potter. Thought he did pretty much everything right except that last piece. Here's Stratton, now Kesselring, running a lot of that attack through the freshman from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
They are. It's Stratton, he's behind, so they're trying to use him as a catalyst. He's looking here, got an opportunity, but just, kudos to this Towson defense. They're just flying around, so fundamentally sound, very few out of position. Don't mind that shot either. Not the greatest of angles, but you have a look. You're probably 8 yards from the cage, pretty severe angle. You got to take that at this point.
Well, especially for a veteran, and senior Connor McCray is going to do that. Just the 4th player in Monmouth history with 50 career goals, but looking for his first goal since April the 1st. That shot goes wide from Matt Carcian, but still 15, make it 16 seconds for Monmouth to shoot.
I'd like that drive by Carcian. Would like to see him a little bit more upfield. All the goalies that I mentor and train got an opportunity there. Excellent save. It was a Caffarelli out with some range, tried the bounce shot, but just a phenomenal save right there.
The Evan Long stop leads to this chance, and so far, The Tigers look incredibly sharp, really, in both ends, Tim. They right now look like a team that is focused on the postseason like they are, winning 2 straight in the league.
And that is no surprise. And again, with the difficulty that they have a very high strength of schedule. Look at the teams they play at a conference. And then you got an opportunity, to really get buttoned up. Excellent pickoff by Quigg right there.
Yep.
Not surprised with a Sean Nattling coach team just to be so laser focused on taking care of business today, and the momentum is in their favor. They're just getting stronger and stronger, and they know they've got to win the CAA. They're not going to get an at-large bid.
Look how feisty the Tigers are being, just pestering Luke Cole the entire time. Stratton picks up the loose ball. Met with 3 different Tigers in front of the goal, and Towson is swarming all over the field so far.
That's what you said, Eddie. That's what you want your D to do, just to swarm. Any loose ball they're after. They're making everyone uncomfortable, and that is the key. You got to make the offense uncomfortable in everything that they do, and that's what's happening. Fortunately for while it's only 3-0, it probably could be a bit worse. So it's a big opportunity here to get another stop to prevent Towson from going up 4-0.
At times, it feels like the Tigers are playing with 12 players.
It does, and that happens. But we've been here before. Monmouth has been on the other side of this coin where they've had big leads and have seen them evaporate, and that's why this game is so great, because momentum is a thing. It is, and if Monmouth can get some momentum here, maybe get a big stop, and then get a nice possession and a goal to start the second, maybe that'll turn the tides a bit.
Weber fell, maintained his feet, 15 seconds to shoot, and Josh Weber makes it 4-0.
Great off. That was just a great individual effort there. You try to test the middle of the field. You get your defender to slip, which means you've got time, you've got room and time, and you sting it high. See right here, just tries to get to the middle field, puts on the brakes, that is a great opportunity where you take it yourself. You try to get to the middle of the field, and defenses are so focused on stopping you from getting to the middle of the field, puts on the brakes, and by doing that, he gives himself room and time on his defender. And again, shoots high. All 4 goals have been up high for the Tigers.
Now 9 goals on the year for Weber, surpassing his total from last season. Final second's going to come off the clock. And after the first set of 15 minutes, the Tigers have won 2 straight in league play. An excellent start here on the Saturday at the Shore, a 4-0 lead over Monmouth. We bring you back to West Long Branch. The battle at the face-off dot will be one we keep an eye on, Tim, all afternoon long. In that first quarter, Monmouth's Matt Sutar winning 3 of the 5, but it's his team that trails 4-0.
And he's going to have to continue to battle and get offensive possessions. Both of these face-off men also do a wonderful job of getting their own ground ball, so they don't always rely on their wing play. So it's a very interesting dynamic that you have here, and it really is. We talked about it early on. It's going to be a key to the game, now even more so for the Hawks if they expect to get back into this. That was just a dominant first quarter by Towson in all phases. Their defense was swarming. They did a great job. They had 3 calls turnovers on the ride. They were finishing their shots. They got 6 shots on goal, 4 went in. So that was a dominant performance thus far.
Well, Sutar won the faceoff and then ran right into trouble. Here comes Colby Bars, the junior defender from Matthews, North Carolina.
You don't mind Sutar doing that because he does score goals, and he was probably just trying to ignite the team. So again, but as we had talked about, as we just said, this swarming defense. You got triple team there and coughed up the ball. So we've got some more defense here for the Hawks. See if they can make some stops.
Yeah, if time of possession was a stat in lacrosse, it would be decidedly in the favor of Towson. Like you said, you don't blame Sutar's aggressiveness, but it seemed like Towson was prepared for that unexpected attempt. You know that was something I'm sure Coach Nadalin mentioned in the huddle at the quarter break.
Absolutely. And again, we were actually just looking at the stats, and when you get a lot of face-offs, you get a lot of ground balls, and Sutar is not afraid to play a little offense. He's had a multiple goal games this year. I mean, he can see he's a catalyst, not just at the dot, but also, when you need it. Quigley did a really nice job defensively. Again, just disrupting the flow. That was a little bit of a question mark dodge there by DeMeo, and just did a nice job of just getting in his hands.
Dodge here, low shot. Freshman Mikey Weisar goes wide, but it was saved by Coleman. Reset the clock to 60.
Again, so here's what we've Coleman, and I'm just making an observation. 4 Towson goals have all been high. Coleman's 3 saves have all been waist down. So that is just an area where he's really good. And Towson, when they put the ball on net up high, they're going in. So just something to keep an eye on.
The shot's starting to pile up. Towson out shooting Monmouth 2-1 so far. And they've really been just dominant in possession.
And they're getting good looks. That's an excellent look right there. Just a little two-man game, a little pick. Again, you get your hands free, and you put the ball on cage, and that leads to the 5th Towson goal so far today.
12th goal of the season for freshman Mikey Weishar. We take another look.
And that right there, it's just a little pick play, and it just gives him enough opportunity to get his hands free. What Monmouth needs to do there is they need to be a little bit more aggressive. Whether it's on the ball or whether you switch, but just to interrupt and interfere with that shot on cage.
5-0 Towson lead. Tigers are locked in here in the early going. Monmouth wins another face-off. This is Brandon Rispoli, the freshman, to come away with the win. And now this is where Monmouth has, Tim, struggled. It's been in that middle area, and again they do, as Rispoli will keep it only because of the penalty.
You're right. It was you got lucky there. I always say that if you're in the field of play and you have the ball, pretend somebody is going to check you from behind. I mean, that's what good teams do. They ride, and you're right. We've talked about it. The midfield, in between the 30s, where there's transition and you get back and things can get loose, and there's a nice answer.
And Caden Kesselring gives Monmouth a much-needed opening goal. He has played well of late with 4 goals in the last 2 games, and he gets his first here today.
And you can see individual matchup. That was a nice move. Did you see what he did there? He did the old, I'm going to dip my head and just maybe make the goalie pause a little bit and finishes up high. That was an excellent job right there.
The freshman from Tulsa, Oklahoma, comes in with a high-scoring, attack-minded pedigree. That was a big goal.
That was much needed. He recognized the matchup. He had the short stick. So he said, okay, well, we've been attacking from wings all day. He did the same thing there and got a step and did that nice little, and it's, as a former goalie, yes, you watch the ball, but you're also cognizant of body language. And with that little head dip, there's a piece of you that thinks he's going low, and he stuck it up high. So that was a great finish.
Monmouth trying to turn up the intensity on the clear attempt, and now you saw too Caffarelli getting involved on their ride, but it'll be Towson again, 5-1 lead, and to this point in control.
And that's what you want out of your attackers, especially when you need the ball. You need ride backs. You need, just make them uncomfortable. You've got 20 seconds to get it over the midline, so make that an issue. Quick double team we're seeing right there. It's a good opportunity. Nice turnaround.
DeMeo with the shot that goes wide. An excellent hustle from Monmouth's Miles Edmiston to give them possession back.
And I think that's Edmiston's second run out. That's great right there, because that's going to help. That is something that should not happen if you're Towson. You've got to have somebody behind to run those shots out. So, to offset, the turnovers that Monmouth has had on some of the clearing attempts, those two will help. Those are the little things just to give you another possession.
Flag up, a penalty coming for Monmouth, and they'll have a chance to further cut into Towson's lead, a man up, depending on what they do on this possession. Chance here, and a save from Evan Long. That will lead to the penalty and the man up. Tim, Monmouth tries to further cut into this matchup, and they'll get a great chance here.
I will say, Brimhill's shot there, I liked that shot. That lefty came around, and he had such torque on that shot. It looked like his body language was reading high, but because of his stick work, he fired that thing low. That was a great shot right there. We need to see more of that.
Offsides is the call on Reese Potter, so Monmouth will be a man up for 30 seconds. Monmouth a man up this season, just 10 for 57, but as good a chance as they've had in this first half.
And keep an eye on number 44, Caffarelli. He is, I think, 27th in the NCAA with man-up goals. So they're going to look for him. So yeah, he's got 60% of their man-up goals so far this season. So
they switched the call. It was originally on Potter. They switch it to Ryan Shire. It'll be number 2 to sit out. And like you mentioned, Monmouth's number 44, who has it here as they whip it around, the man to watch.
And so as a 30-second penalty, you want to get it around once or twice, and then you want to get into the play that you've got set. Looks like a little roll-off here. They're in a 3-3, trying to keep the ball hot.
Here is Caffarelli, goes low. It was blocked. Rebound attempt goes high. And Towson where it needs to be to kill off the penalty.
Caffarelli had a look, but credit to just this Towson defense. That's what you as a goalie, you love when your defenders absorb shots. They don't love it, but at the same time, you give them credit where credit is due. That was a huge opportunity there on a man up, sacrificing the body. Took that one right in the stomach.
Penalty successfully killed off. That's another area that Towson is improving in throughout the course of the season. They actually come in last in the league by percentage in penalty killing, but so much of that, Tim, I feel like was early in the season when the Tigers were still figuring out exactly who they were.
Absolutely, and they've had some some great players graduate, so you got some new opportunities here, and they've been pretty healthy so far this season. They've got actually I think the biggest concern for them would be their depth at LSM. They've had some injuries there, and that was just a great take.
Kyle Berkeley again. We've seen him show the power this afternoon for another goal.
And that was, okay, so my theory's out the window. He shot that one, high to low. But just look at this opportunity here. Again, Lacewell slipped, but just a nice move to the middle of the field, a jump shot down low. Not much you can do as a goalie right there.
Well, as much as Coleman wants to come up with the stop, when a player like that, Tim, has no defender in front of him, and he can take that kind of shot with that kind of power, that is hard to stop.
It is, and that is an example right there of why you don't want to let Dodgers get to the middle of the field, because then they can do what they want. And I mean, that one was a jump shot, high to low to the far pipe. I mean, that's exactly how it's taught, and that's exactly how it's executed.
So a nice answer for the Tigers after Monmouth got on the board, extending the lead to 6-1.
And just look at Towson. Look how far out they're defending. Now, again, that's opportunistic because it was, you had one of your, defensive midfielders handling the ball, trying to get off the field. So it made sense right there. But you just like the tenacity with which Towson is playing defense today.
Kesselring draws Potter. This is where he scored his goal earlier, operating on the short stick. Instead, he'll give it up 30 to shoot. Dodge coming here from McCray. Turns, fires, and scores. And Connor McCray makes it 6-2.
Great job there. Middle of the field, as we had talked about, but watch how he shoots right out of the turn, which is great because the goalie can't pick up where the ball is. In my stick, just can't see it. So those young middies and young attackers, this has been a game where, an opportunity you can see right here. Puts on the brakes, turns, and right through traffic. Yes, it was stick side. But that was a good take right out of the dodge. That was just a way to just get rid of it, get it out of your stick.
First goal for McCray since Monmouth's game way back on April the 1st against Hofstra. Had gone 3 straight without a goal. Monmouth would love to get some production out of one of their more experienced attackers here down the stretch in McCray.
So it looks like we've got another technical foul. This might be the third of the half on the face-off, which then would lead to a 30-second penalty. I believe, Eddie. I believe that's what happened. So we're going to have here. This is good. This is a great opportunity for the Hawks to get back into it. Again, you score here, you make it 6-3. It's a different ball game.
And you're so right. Monmouth back to a man up. They just had a goal, and now has 20 seconds to try to just inch themselves closer to this Towson lead.
And Towson knows. They know to keep an eye on Caffarelli. And you can see here they're just so focused on him and saying, all right, somebody else beat us here.
Well, it is Caffarelli on a tough angle, long with the stop. The penalty's killed off, but Monmouth will maintain possession. He had an opportunity, but we literally had a perfect view of that one right here. Really not much of an angle. Here is Carcian.
But on that, you do have to give credit to Long. He's not the tallest in stature, but he had great position. So I call that a position save right there.
Burke Webb navigating through traffic. Still a lot of time for Monmouth to shoot as they look for their second straight goal here in the second quarter.
Much better quarter. It's 2-2. Again, you dig yourself a 4-0 hole, but it's 2-2 the second quarter. So they're right into this. They just need, again, patience, opportunities, and they need to cash in.
The shot clock winding down here. That shot will go high, and the possession, but like you said, looks better than it did in that first quarter. More sustained possession.
Absolutely. And again, I'm not surprised that we've had a few shot clock violations by Monmouth. That's just how they play. They play a slower tempo. They want to optimize possessions, which means let's keep the ball out of their sticks, and that's what they've done. You'll take those. As a coach, while it is frustrating, it's still all right. All right, we tried. We did everything we could. Looks like you had some of your second team midfielders on. All right, let's now. Our defense is now rested and ready to play.
Inside of 6 to go before halftime. Like Tim mentioned, the Tigers built a 4-0 first quarter lead as they operate here. That was Shire. It was called for a penalty earlier. They whip it around. Here's Berkeley, scored their most recent goal. Berkeley will go behind the cage. Weber gets to his left hand, and it was knocked away. Coleman got a stick on it.
He did. Excellent save right there, trying to go far pipe. Did a nice job of just stepping to the sideline, getting his top hand across his body. Good save. Did reset the shot clock, so he got 60.
Here is Josh Weber. Now Villagomez, Joaquin Villagomez, the freshman from Savannah Park, Maryland. Towson being very patient. Monmouth runs a double team at Berkeley. Now Weiser. Give and go with Berkeley. Coleman with the big stop.
That was nice ground ball. Quigley saves it. Dangerous play.
Well,
nice
now
clear.
A chance for Almost, Tim, a chance for transition.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was saying opportunity for transition, but you know what? Kudos to Towson. They smelled that out, and they got one of their short sticks back.
Monmouth now with an opportunity. McCray, his second straight goal. And a delayed transition chance. Monmouth's able to cash in on it.
That was the delayed re-dodge into transition. You don't see that much. But this is why the game of lacrosse is so great, because you got these unsettled opportunities, and that was just a phenomenal finish. Good ball movement, unselfish, moving the ball. And again, the old adage is the ball moves faster than you can run. So if you've got somebody open, you move the ball. If you can make 2 to 3 passes cleanly like that on a transition or on offense, somebody should be open.
And it all started with a long pass outlet from Ryan Morris to Kate Stratton in front of each team's bench. Stratton came to meet the ball, Tim, and then turned on a dime and created his own transition.
Absolutely. That's great to see. Heads up. That's great. That's lacrosse IQ right there.
Towson, the face-off win, as now Monmouth has scored a couple of goals in a row. Now the Tigers look to break the Hawks' momentum with less than 4 to go before the break.
And talking to Coach Nallen before the game, he said, look, while this Monmouth team's young, they've proven that they can play in the CAA. So this was by far not a game that they were overlooking at all. Has a high degree of respect for Coach Fisher and the coaching staff and the program that he's built in such a short period of time. And, again, this is not, it's just wonderful to see, the growth of this Monmouth program. It looks like we've got a timeout here.
And Tim will further the point you were talking about when we come back. Monmouth with 2 straight goals in a row as they've made it 6-3. Bring it right back after this timeout. This afternoon's broadcast of the Monmouth Hawks on the Monmouth Digital Network on Flow Sports is brought to you in part by World Subaru. Get more for your money at World Subaru, located on Shrewsbury Avenue in Tinton Falls. Back here to West Long Branch, Tim McGeaney, Eddie Acapinti, your crew, Andrew Kurtz, our producer. Full day of lacrosse. The Monmouth women victorious earlier today over William and Mary by a score of 14-9. And Tim, here we've got a good one starting to brew. Monmouth with 2 goals in a row, and they trail Towson, but it's just 6-3 now.
It's just 6-3. Not surprised at a lower scoring game. But as we were talking about as we went into break, and Coach Nadel, Sean Nadel, he will be the last person to tell you this, but I was fortunate enough to play with him for the Bayhawks, and he was probably one of the most versatile defensemen, short stick midfielders to come out of went to Johns Hopkins University, then played at the Bayhawks, won a national championship, tore his ACL, came back in record time to represent the United States and win a gold medal. Just an awesome human being.
You mentioned his defensive acumen on the field at Hopkins. Watching his attack now operate after that ground ball was gobbled up. 8 seconds to shoot. Monmouth's turning up its intensity. Here's Bender. It's turning. Firing was Austin Stewart, and Monmouth comes away with the defensive stop it needs.
That was huge. There was an opportunity there, but Towson couldn't cash in on that one. That was a big stop right here for the Hawks.
They've scored 2 goals in a row. A goal here at this stage of the first half would be huge.
It really would be. It's it's looking at that differential, but looks like we've got another timeout here. I think Coach Fisher decided to take a timeout.
So while Monmouth talks it over, we'll step out. Bring it right back after this timeout. Quick timeout. Welcome you back. Latter stages of the first half. Towson 6, Monmouth 3. And Monmouth timeout, Tim, out of this break. They've scored 2 goals in a row. They come up with the defensive stop that Brian Fisher wanted, and now he's addressing his team in the huddle. Chance to make it a 2-goal game before halftime.
And I think maybe Coach Fisher's listening to the broadcast, because we said this is a critical. Again, they're back in the game, which is great, shows the resilience. But if you can get another one on the board and make a stop or 2 down your end, and you go in at halftime 6-4. after being down 4-0 in the first. That's interesting. So let's see what we have in store here. Again, wouldn't be surprised to see them continue to attack from the wings, a wing dodge here. See what they can open up on the backside of these plays. They're attacking the long poles, but I think that really is just to set up what they want to do right here, is then they get a better matchup and see what they can make happen. So just simply inverting behind. When you get that short stick, you take them behind, harder for them to play.
Stratton trying to be physical, and he's met by two different Tigers. It was starting to materialize, and then ultimately it's captain Garrett Zungalia to come away with the ground ball.
And that's just something, and even Coach Fisher said, he's like, the physicality and the size of the Towson defenders, it's something they don't see often. They don't really see it in practice, and that was a perfect example there where they just won that body-on-body matchup.
Yeah, you mentioned it. The physicality in this league, with no disrespect to Monmouth's previous league, the MAC, and,
right.
and you and I covered it for years, the physicality in the CAA is a different level.
It absolutely is. And again, we're just speaking the truth. It's what we see, and it's what, when you talk to coaches around the league, that's what the CAA is really known for, more of a kind of lunch pail. What a way to keep possession of the ball. A little whirling dervish right there, but kept it in his stick. That was great.
Yeah, that was Kyle Berkeley. We've seen his skill on display all half, and we'll take another look. How about the presence of mind, Tim, to roll over and know where your teammate was?
And that's, you don't practice that. That's just simply, all right, I fell, but I remember from a split second ago, I've got help with the lefty shot. Roll over, he's still open. I'm going to whip it to him, and you get it. That was a great look, actually. Just put it on cage, but that did reset the shot clock back to 60. So we've got just over a minute, 60 seconds left on the shot clock. Towson called the timeout. They want to stop the momentum. They want to say, look, let's get one here. Let's go up 7-3 on this pesky Monmouth Hawks team. On a beautiful day, Eddie. What a day for lacrosse around the country as well. Big rivalries happening. You have Army and Navy playing today. You've got Maryland and Hopkins playing today. This is crunch time. I know Eddie and I, we had talked, before the game about, the call for maybe expanding the playoff field. My issue with that is, I look at this and I look at conference play and conference championships as playoffs. This is a playoff game. While the playoffs haven't officially started, this is a playoff game for Monmouth.
And I agree with you, and I feel like it's the same thing in any debate that comes up about expanding playoffs, whether you're talking the lacrosse tournament, the basketball tournament. All it does is potentially take away from some of the importance of some regular season games. You can do the exact same thing and say it and make this game a playoff game, because all this means is if Monmouth loses, they're eliminated from playoff contention, and Towson takes one step closer. So yes, it's not a quote-unquote playoff game, but for all of us around the game, it is.
It is, and I saw a stat. And this is after this weekend. There's 1 week left in the regular season, and season to date, I think it's over 80% of teams are still mathematically in playoff contention, and that would include Monmouth. If they win today and they win next week and they get some help and they go in and they win the CAA, that's still them in the tournament. Not the possession, but great job. That was really close.
It was. And Zungalia, maybe just a hair early.
But kudos to the official, because he knew it was coming. He got back. He was staring right down the 50-yard line. He was right on it. The Towson coaching staff was not happy, but it would be one thing if the officials weren't in position, but he was.
And that bounce shot goes just high. They rule it Monmouth possession with 6.6 left.
Find a matchup here. Coach Natalie was doing a slow jog on the field, calling a timeout, which he can do off of a dead ball here. I think he just wanted to make sure he gets his rope unit out there. They settle down. They don't want to give up a cheap goal here.
The only team that has clinched a spot in the CAA tournament is Delaware. The defending champions have clinched. Drexel's all but in, and then after that, look at the logjam of teams between 3 and 2, 2 and 3, not on that screen, but counted in that also. Oh, there you go. Our producer said, give me a second.
Perfect.
Hofstra's right there. Monmouth's right there. Hampton, the only team, Tim, that is among that 20% or so odd teams, like you mentioned, that's been eliminated, even though the Pirates are playing much better later in the season. So as you take another look, so many teams still with so much to play for.
It is, and let's just do a quick review of Monmouth. We called the game against Stony Brook. That was an excellent effort by Monmouth. Last week against Fairfield, where it was the freshman show, they had an amazing comeback that fell just short. So they're, like I said, they're right in this thing. A first-year program, young program. They've had some injuries, so give them credit for grinding and for battling. In the tough CAA. I don't think the CAA is a two-bid league, which means if Delaware for some reason lost the CAA championship, I don't know if they have the resume, the out-of-conference resume to get in. But regardless, this is it's a fun conference.
No doubt it is, and you could see Delaware won last year. This Towson team was one of a trio of teams that had shared the regular season title. It was Delaware, the Tigers, and actually UMass was in this league before the Atlantic 10 started lacrosse this season. You can see the leagues. You don't need playoff expansion when you just add more leagues.
These leagues, I know.
Final 6 seconds. See what Monmouth gets as an opportunity. Stratton, the wraparound try is saved by Evan Long, which will get us to the end of the first half. And what an impressive half for Long.
Great. That was a great save by Long. Again, that was an awesome opportunity. Again, something that you don't often see, but he stood his ground. Made the save.
5 saves for Long in the first half, and Towson leads at the break 6-3. Welcome you back as we've begun halftime here on the Monmouth Digital Network. A 6-3 Tigers lead over Monmouth. Bring you back into the broadcast booth here at Kessler Stadium. Tim McGeaney, Eddie Acapinti, your broadcast crew. And Tim, we came on air talking about pretty much a de facto playoff game specifically for Monmouth, and they've mounted a nice little comeback in the latter stages of that first half.
They have, after a dominating performance in the first quarter by Towson, which gave them a 4-0 lead. Got to give credit to the Hawks for just sticking around, being pursuant, and getting ground balls. They didn't make any unforced errors in that second quarter, which I think was really critical for them to get back in this game.
Yeah, and Matt Sutar has been great at the face-off dot as well. But for the Tigers, they were led in that first half. It was DeMayo that started their scoring way back in the first quarter. But how about Kyle Berkeley in that first half going for a couple of goals?
And he just did a great job. Some of the individual efforts, he's 3 goals on just 5 shots. And you can see there, that was all him. He got open. In this one, he just took advantage of the short stick and the height advantage and buried it up high. And you can see here, this was just a rip on the opportunity set that he had off of a loose ball. And just a phenomenal effort by him so far, using that range and the dynamism that he has to just get some points. I know we had talked about DeMayo, and he's got a goal and an assist as well, but for Towson, it's going to be important as they get down to the end of the season and the postseason to diversify their scoring threats.
Well, Berkeley's one of the top offensive midfielders in the league. He was an all-league pick last season. And if you're Monmouth, and we'll talk more about it later at halftime, give me one quick point about something you feel Monmouth can do. They got a few different contributions in that first half, but what do the Hawks need to do to further get back in this game?
Stop the unforced errors. We saw in the first quarter alone, they had 3 failed clears, and that's un-Brian Fisher-like Monmouth lacrosse. So you stop that. We had a couple nice runouts. Continue getting possessions and get back in this game. Settle down defensively and just look for opportunities to get points on the board, but you cannot make any unforced errors.
Yeah, like Tim mentioned, especially when you're trailing, there's really little room for error when trying to come back, which is what Monmouth will try to do in the third quarter. So a whole bunch more to happen here at halftime. Keep it right here. Welcome you back here at halftime. I love that interview that I was able to do with Bob Santelli.
Great.
From the Springsteen Archives. I saw Bruce 2 weeks ago on Long Island at UBS. Unbelievable.
I bet.
Best live show in the business.
How old is he? 70?
He's in his 70s.
3 hours?
Oh, yeah, straight.
Straight.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I've done a half a game here. I'm exhausted. But let's look at the people that are actually doing the work on the field with Towson leading 6-3. Tim, we look at some first half highlights in a game that the Tigers need to take one step closer to the postseason, and Monmouth fighting for its playoff lives.
And as we had talked about, that first clip right there, Berkeley just did a great job. Here he is again. Just knowing the matchup and knowing that he's like, there's not a second slide coming, so I've got a great opportunity here. And that was just, it's been a fun game. Didn't think it was going to be a high-scoring game. These are two defensive-oriented teams, so 6-3 is not surprising at all. The big question is going to be, can Monmouth score 7 goals in the second half to get to 10? That's going to be the key. That really is going to be the key right there.
Take a look at your Monmouth Medical Center RWJ Barnabas Health halftime stats. And Tim, in order to do that, and you mentioned turnovers in our first segment at halftime being kind of the Achilles heel for Monmouth. But in order to do that, it really starts here at the face-off dot, and then also got to get, for a team that prides itself on defense, you have to get stops.
You do, and that's what you do. So I think really the message is coming out of halftime, like we did in the second quarter, guys, let's eliminate the turnovers, eliminate the unforced errors. Let's keep battling like we're doing here at the face-off dot. Let's take advantage of our opportunities on offense. Let's be a little bit more aggressive on defense. Maybe that's a quicker second slide or an acknowledgement of a bad matchup, and just eliminate those things and make something happen on the offensive end. It can happen. They scored 3 goals in 1 quarter. Who's to say they can't do that again and again?
And I feel like the point you bring up, and we kind of talked around it at halftime as well, but it's starting to feel that playoff kind of desperation, right? And knowing, and the coaching staff feels it, but can you get your young team to feel like that as the first shot here in the third quarter goes wide?
It is, and it's a fine balancing act in terms of They know that this is a critical game, one that they have to win in order to keep their playoff hopes alive. But then it gets to the point where, all right, the urgency is, we need that sense of urgency. What I would like to see there is I want that Monmouth attackman to be hip to hip with the defender, so it's not such an easy keep back right there. That's a little thing. That's a little thing right there, but that was just way too easy on a potential errant pass. That was a nice save by Coleman. It's going to reset the shot clock.
Back to 60, as it's pretty much been Towson possession since this third quarter started. Yeah, you mentioned, too, that was a nice job. If you remember in that first half, Towson was called for the violation on a similar play. That was a good job letting that possession come all the way onto your side of the field.
Yep, exactly. And Coleman, that was it. While that wasn't a spectacular save, that was one where the Towson attacker tried to sneak it in near pipe, and he turned it away. That was a big save right there.
The Lacewell will pretty much clear it on his own. So a third quarter stop to begin for Monmouth as Kate Stratton draws a double team. Loses his helmet, and a whistle will come here. 13:07 to go in the third, and it will be a turnover.
So the question there is, how do you lose your helmet, right?
Yeah, that's difficult.
However, I know what happens is many of these players, it's not very tight. The chin, it's not like in football where your chin is literally strapped tight into the chin strap. It's not like that, and just with a little lift. But that was interesting. That was, how did the helmet become displaced? Is the question I'm sure Coach Fisher has for the officiating crew.
So a first stop for Monmouth in the third, but then after that turnover, asked to play defense again. Towson in control with a 6-3 lead.
But what we didn't talk about on that possession for Monmouth was Towson did a great job. What a shot
what a
into the
bounce.
upper corner.
Ryan Shire, the freshman, shot ready, Tim, and that was a beautiful finish.
Most goalies aren't going to make that save, and I was just complimenting the Towson defenseman down at the other end for that smart double team, and they literally just sandwiched the attacker together to cause that turnover. But watch this bounce shot right here. And why bounce shots are so tough is because a goalie has to make two different moves. They've got to go down with it and then back up with it. So changing the planes of your shots. I know it's not as thrilling as a shot to the upper corner, but it's just as effective.
And that stops Monmouth's 2-goal run that extended from the end of the first half. 7-3 Tigers, looking for their 4th CAA win of the season. Trying to keep pace with other teams in the league. We'll give you the out-of-town scoreboard because we're the last game of the day, with all the other games finishing earlier.
And that was one of those little things, Eddie, we had talked about. So it's been 2 little things so far that have come back to hurt Monmouth. You didn't have an attacker on the midline to try to defend that errant pass. And then you had another unforced error right there, giving Towson the ball back again, making your defense play again, making your goalie have to make another save.
And while Towson gets organized, after this possession, we'll run through those scores. Here's Berkeley. 3 first-half goals. That time Monmouth did well. You mentioned bothering attackers. Yes. They did it there.
Just tying up his hands. That was a great little hedge there by Gertie just to get over. He was the near man. Didn't need to slide, but did a great job of just helping out. Coleman with a quick outlet. That was a great idea, great look, an immediate offense right here.
It was Sean Ketchen who started this with good defense. But credit Towson's transition defense getting back.
So Berkeley's caught on defense. Again, not that he cannot play defense, he can, but what we talked about in previous telecasts, you have this really a positionless lacrosse, so they're going to bring him off the field here. So they weren't able to take advantage. Towson does a nice job of thwarting any potential mismatches there, but that's probably something I would have tried to take advantage of.
Still a ton of time for Monmouth. 30 seconds. Stratton makes his move from behind the goal. Watched closely by Colby Bars with the long stick.
That was great defense by Bars right there, just not giving up anything topside, keeping your man behind. That's exactly what you want to do when you're playing defense from behind.
Luke Cole with 8 seconds.
Look backside here.
That jump shot from Stratton goes wide. That was a great look, and it looks as though the Tigers will come up with another defensive stop.
That was a great opportunity. Just couldn't put it on cage.
Yeah, we'll take another look at it as the shot clock does expire.
Tried to get that near corner, just couldn't put it on there. You always want to make the opposing goalie make a save. That's the motto. Make them make saves. And if they do, great. Nice save, good job. Make them make saves.
Towson does just get that clear in time. Other games around the league, Stony Brook defeated Fairfield 17-14. Delaware, another win over Drexel 18-13. It was all Hofstra over Hampton 15-4 earlier today. Big win by the Blue Hens, by the way. Against Drexel, that was a matchup of the first and second place teams in the league.
That was Delaware did a night. They just just took advantage. They knew what was at stake, and they're the top seed.
And Monmouth makes it 7-4. That was McCray, who's starting to really come alive late in the season.
That was a beautiful shot. That was an overhand, almost was pipe to pipe. Hit that far post up top, banged across the crease. Tickled the twine, as they say, 7-4. 8:37 left. You can see it here. Again, even against the pole, but what he does a nice job of is hiding his hands, and even though the defender is right there, he's still able to get that off and get it on cage.
And just before that double team from Reagan McNamara would have come in, and that's what veterans bring, right? They kind of have that sixth sense of knowing when that slide's coming.
Exactly. Absolutely. And they know, Sutar wins the draw, wins the ground ball, but gets the ball taken away. Opportunity here. Excellent save by Coleman. Look upfield. You've got an opportunity for transition. It looks like they are going to call.
Well, they stopped the action to fix the goal, and it took away a potential transition chance.
It sure did. And are they going? They might give the ball back to Towson. I don't know if maybe there was an in and out by Coleman with possession, or if they were saying that he didn't deliberately move the goal.
That's what Brian Fisher was asking for clarification for on the Monmouth sideline, because he, as well as I believe you and I in the booth, thought Monmouth had made the stop it needed.
And you're right, it did take away. There was a clear opportunity for a 4-on-3.
Coleman got a stick on it.
Just wide there.
Yeah, it looked as though the Towson attacker carried into the goal. But again, we're up here.
Right, we're up here. We're not down there. It was a far side. Maybe there was a loose ball push on the Monmouth defender.
Oh, and a beautiful snipe. Mikey Weishar, the freshman from straight away, I think everyone expected him to go high, and he went low.
He did, and he did a nice job of it was such a quick release. There was even it looked like a check to his stick, but he got rid of it so quickly. Maybe, and you'll see here, Coleman may have been screened, by his own man, just didn't quick it up. But see how quickly that came out? An awkward shot as the follow-through hit the Monmouth defender, but still finds its way into the back of the net. 8-4 Towson.
They've done a really good job of not allowing Monmouth to string back-to-back goals together.
They absolutely have. They've just been able to answer. And that's just keep your composure. Know that you're in for a battle, full 60 minutes.
Tigers run in the attack unit they want for this possession. Here's Austin Stewart. Stewart watched by Scooter Whiteside, creating this chance. And a bounce shot from Bender that goes wide.
That was a nice two-man game right there. Stewart just gets to the middle of the field. Bender kind of just slips out. And Austin Stewart with the throwback to Bender didn't put it on cage, though. Really nice two-man game right there.
33 seconds on that wide attempt. Stewart get us back into play with 6:46 remaining in the third.
He's got a good matchup here. He's got the short stick. Good, quick. Okay, so that's fine. That was a good, quick slide, able to recover. Especially against that short stick matchup right there. That was a good defensive play. Really good team defense. Good help there. Again, that was Quigley just coming down. Again, having that presence by Quigley, just knowing the opportunity there.
Get a look at Brian Fisher, 10th year head coach at Monmouth. Started this program 10 seasons ago, 2 titles. Pretty good resume where you go 10 seasons in one of the best leagues in the country now with this young Monmouth team.
Yeah, and just 10 years and 2 playoff appearances in your first 10 years.
In a one-bid league.
In a one-bid league. That's great. That really is.
No, sandwiched in there. Right, those first few tough seasons of starting a program. Stratton, the quick shot, a great angle. His body wasn't all the way where it needed to be.
Was it? He tried again, tried for that upper corner, just couldn't put it on cage.
And Coach Fisher's 4th year, Monmouth went to the NCAA tournament for the first time, and then again back in 2021. Moving around and scoring. What an effort you mentioned by Stratton.
Great effort there. I wasn't sure if maybe there was going to be a penalty, maybe a hold, but he just does a great job of maintaining his composure and getting that shot off. Little bouncer right here. You can see comes up on the defender. Looks like a little bit of a hold, falling to the ground, one knee down. It's a great job of just saying, I'm going to the goal. I know I'm going to get hit when I turn the corner.
The 3rd all-time leading goal scorer here at Monmouth, Cage Stratton, with a highlight reel score.
So as you mentioned, Eddie, let's see, can they put together a 2 or they've had 1 2-goal run. Can they do a 3-goal run here? As nice as what happened there, Monmouth was in a 10-man ride, so you pull the goalie out to cover the lowest attackman, but Towson did a great job staying calm, finding the open player, making a long 60-yard pass and clearing the ball successfully.
As they'll try to answer the Monmouth goal. A couple of times Monmouth has cut this to a 3-goal deficit.
Throwback there, opportunity here. Great
and a finish. Josh Weber makes it 9-5.
That's great lacrosse. You pull the double team, and then you're fading away, and you throw back. So again, he gets it, sees the double coming, throws it back, and what a screen as well on that play. So just a great job. You can see the screen coming up here. 26 just gets in the way. Boom. That was great. Great team effort. And Villa Gomez, again, right there. That was just a great, for a freshman, that was just a really smart play by saying, okay, oh, I've got an opportunity here to affect the play. I'm just going to hold my ground, giving my offensive line mate an opportunity to get a shot off. And that was a great save by Long right there.
A great save, but then an errant outlet pass. Monmouth will try to capitalize. And you could see that was Thomas Gray in the long pole running into a ton of trouble, and Stratton able to help him.
Gray wanted to pull the trigger and then couldn't find it, and then tried to make a dodge. Couldn't make it happen. But for Long as a goalie, that was a great save, and you maintain possession, and you're taught as a goalie, your first look is to where the shot came from, because you want to create a fast break. You want to create tempo in a transition. Just didn't get it out there far enough. So good job by Monmouth on that ride. But Long, a great story. He is a senior. When he's done, he is going to enter Army Special Forces training.
Really?
After graduation. Yep. And he, again, we mentioned earlier, Eddie, the game against Virginia, he stood tall. That was a very good save as well. He stood tall in that first half. He was making he was so on. He kept them in the game. And then finally in the fourth quarter, Virginia with their offensive weapons all over the field just pulled away.
That was one of 2 games this season in which Long had 20 saves.
Yeah.
You mentioned it, playing at his best. And the redshirt junior, you mentioned, not just doing a great job here in one of his veteran years, but the career he's chosen to take, not something that a lot of people look to get into. So not only best of luck, but goodness, that is a dedicated young man.
Yes, absolutely it is. And opportunity, what a finish inside. Good lacrosse. That was just an excellent job by Towson, taking advantage of what Monmouth gave them there on the crease. You just, as a goalie, you can't give up shots in that what we call the red zone. But you can see here, opportunity down the side, keeps his head up, gets kind of lost in the middle, and just buries it.
6'5", 215-pound freshman Joaquin Villagomez probably doesn't get lost in many places.
No, not at all. Severna Park native, down by Annapolis, Maryland. Back in kind of my neck of the woods where I grew up. Played for an excellent high school program and stayed relatively close to home.
We were talking before the game, and you were an All-American keeper at Loyola, and you were explaining to me the geography that, right, it's that Baltimore Triangle, Loyola and Hopkins and Towson. What rivalries in that triangle?
It was great. And, during my tenure at Loyola, we started the series against Johns Hopkins again, just because it was non-competitive. So we started that up. But all 4 years we played Towson. Just a great rivalry, between two teams that are both on York Road and just in the hotbed. Excellent save there by Long. Just storied franchises. So many great players that have come through both of those programs. But they now play in Johnny Unitas Stadium. We had some night games there, just some epic competitions, and just awesome. It was an awesome atmosphere to play at Towson.
It was really starting to settle in, and as we've talked about attack, and you just mentioned the great point about Long and his post-college plans, but he has really tuned in here in the second half. Monmouth needs to do some special things to try to beat him up to 8 saves already.
Yeah, and what's been so nice is for him in this quarter, he's seen the ball, he's getting reads. The shots are good shots. They're testing him, but he's just up to the task. And I know they're trying to test him up high. He's a bit, shorter in stature, so I think they're trying to take advantage of that, but he's saying no. And not only is he making saves, he's making clean saves. Not giving up any rebounds.
Here comes Berkeley. Didn't want the first one, takes the second one, and is able to finish. Kyle Berkeley makes it 11-5.
Berkeley does a great job there. Again, a seasoned veteran, knowing that I have the first one, but you know what? I think I can improve my angle. He could have let it go right here, but he makes a little face dodge, gets him about 4 yards closer, and sticks it in a point where Coleman's just not going to be able to make that save unless he flails out his left leg to make a kick save. So that was just an excellent move right there.
Berkeley, 3 first-half goals. That his first goal here in the second. Monmouth had a lot of momentum towards the end of that second quarter. And credit Towson, they have come out here in the third and been focused. Not only taken that momentum away, they've gained it themselves and increased their lead to 6 goals.
They just really have done a nice job.
Long stick here, attempt from Sam Morin.
Watch them try to feed the crease here, about 7 seconds left to go.
Falling down, 2 different Monmouth defenders converge, and that does get us to the end of the third quarter. And one that sees Towson extend its lead as we head to the fourth quarter. The Tigers in front, 11-5. A nice ceremony before the game this afternoon. Senior day for a sizable Monmouth contingent, Tim, of seniors that have played through a whole bunch. They've also played through a championship back in 2021. And a group that means a lot to this program that we mentioned is only 10 years old.
Only 10 years old. That group went through a lot. COVID, getting back on track, that shortened season, being part of a championship run, a lot here, making the transition to a different conference. So there was a lot they had their hand in. Opportunity here.
And Ty Caffarelli, after a series of fakes, able to score in the first goal of the afternoon for Monmouth's leading scorer.
It's opportunistic right there, but he does a nice job. Very patient, working his way, tiptoeing around the crease and finally finding a small opening there. But you can see 7th in the CAA goals per game, over 2. That's, again, for a freshman, that's great.
See that wild sequence? It was kind of the end result of it. Caffarelli, right place at the right time, and Monmouth scores 12 seconds into the fourth quarter. Ground ball scooped up by Reese Potter as Towson controls. We ran through those final scores in the league. And this is the final game of the afternoon, NCAA play, with the flag up and a penalty coming for Towson.
See, you like the ride, and because this is it. This is the last quarter. You got to be aggressive. You got to try to make something happen, and that's, one of the drawbacks. Get a flag down.
Towson will be incredibly patient on this possession with that 5-goal lead, And a man-up opportunity coming.
Good quick double team right there. Reset. Nice job. Throwback here. Another opportunity for a step down off the pipe.
Weishar rings one off that top crossbar as the penalty will come. And Towson will be a man up. 13:47 to go in the fourth as we take another look at that shot.
You can see the great throwback here. Overhand step down, rings off the top. It may have gone through the uprights.
No points for that, though.
No points for that, though. Spring football wrapping up here. We've got...
Yeah, tomorrow, I believe, is the spring showcase. It's their final day of the spring football season.
And I know at the University of Colorado, it's their spring football game with Coach Deion Sanders. It's on ESPN.
Yeah, how about that?
Chris Fowler at the helm, and he's been it's a good save, good opportunity there for Towson, but an even better save by Coleman. So it's interesting, Eddie. Maybe you and I can do this next year. All three are going to be on the field broadcasting the game.
Oh, really?
All three. They're not going to be up in the... I guess they figured, you know what? Let's, it's a spring football game.
Try it out.
Quinn Kessenich is going to be on the call. He was an awesome All-American, three-time All-American goalie at Johns Hopkins. He does a lot of sideline reporting for football. Also covers the wrestling championships.
Yes.
And also is a color analyst for ESPN.
Yeah, you just tune in there and he's all over the place. But that is interesting. If you remember, there was... When they were constructing this facility, you and I called lacrosse games over on the soccer facility. We were much closer to the field. I loved that vantage point.
I did. There was one game in particular I remember, and it was against St. Bonaventure. We were on the opportunity there. Make sure you can run this out. You got to get the ground ball. Don't let that happen. Maybe. Okay. All right. The official was right there. He said, looks like White kicked it out.
Yep, and the hustle from Garrett Zungalia is rewarded. Now, I remember that game, too. We were right in between the benches. We could hear everything.
Everything. You could hear the officials. You could hear the players chirping one another. You could hear the coaches. It was awesome. It was a great vantage point. We were elevated, which was great. So it gave us... that was awesome. That was really a fun. The weather cooperated there.
That was back in Monmouth's championship season of 2017. As again, they were constructing this beautiful Kessler Stadium facility.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I wasn't mad about that view. I loved it. Navigating the traffic and finishing again is Berkeley. His 5th goal of the afternoon.
And another bounce shot into the upper right-hand corner. Almost unsavable from that range. Excellent finish right there.
Well, that was an impressive one. Stepping through traffic, using his strength.
Absorbs the 2 checks. So Lacewell has him, gets by him, cuts back, absorbs some checks. What Monmouth's going to want to do, either a poke check or body. It's, it's just still all things, all learning opportunities here for sure, especially with such a young team.
And we talked about it in the first half, but one of the biggest differences you see in a lot of the players that Towson has, a lot of times, it's just the pure size. Berkeley, 6'4", he's 225, he's huge. We saw the freshman Villagomez, 6'5", physically very imposing, and that can sometimes... Doesn't matter the technique sometimes. If you're just physically bigger than who you're playing against, you'll have an advantage.
You will. So then it's a matter of, okay, how do we need them to be smarter? And what a finish right there. That was a great skip pass across the field. And what a low to high rip right there into the upper corner. That was beautiful.
Weishar has been impressive. And the young player from Arnold, Maryland, is one of these talented young tigers that we'll see for the next couple years.
Great skip pass. What an angle right there. You can see he just went low to high to Coleman's off-stick side and stuck it in that upper corner. That was a great finish. yeah, great feed as well, just to have that vision to get it cross field.
So we just saw Berkeley's 5th goal, and that's Wisehar's 3rd goal, and there's Tim and I.
All right.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, great. You can see I got my glasses on so I can see what I'm talking about.
We told you Kessler Stadium's a beautiful facility, and our vantage point up here, you know, as much as we loved that low angle, this is pretty cool.
Oh, this is a great facility, honestly. Just for it was another nice save there by Long, but a great facility for sports because you got good seats. You know, it's a great venue, great location. You can, I mean, you just called the women's game. I was fortunate enough to be a volunteer on their program. It's just an awesome environment.
That was Carcian who ultimately fell in a push. We'll keep it on this end.
That's good. Called a loose ball push there. That's good. It also resets the shot clock.
Obviously, as we take another look, Tim mentioned it, a doubleheader here this afternoon, and then this will be the scene for that spring football game that he mentioned for tomorrow. And then come the fall, this is where the Monmouth football program calls home, and it'll be its 2nd season in the CAA coming up this fall for Coach Callahan and company.
Monmouth football is, I mean, they have some players.
Yes.
They recruit. I mean, they get some players. They're always competitive.
This past season had one of the best offenses in the country and maybe the best running back in the country. Jaden Sheridan had a almost 2,000-yard season and was a finalist for the FCS Player of the Year honor, which is the Walter Payton Award. And he's back in the fold this upcoming fall. Yeah, this is the final regular season athletic event here this season.
Right.
The women earlier today, they finish up on the road, as do the men. So the next time we're here calling in the action will be football this coming fall. As Monmouth has a man-up chance here with 10 minutes to go in the 4th. And if they want to make it a finish, need to convert this.
Need to convert for sure. That was a cross check, so you got a 1-minute opportunity here. So you can be patient, but you can't be lazy because there's less than 10 minutes left to go in the game, but you've got to capitalize here. Opportunity jump shot, gets in near pipe, excellent finish.
Caden Kesselring with another impressive goal. And that was a much-needed goal. Monmouth converts a man up.
So Kesselring does a nice job of getting upfield, which pulls Long off his line a little bit, and then he sneaks it in near pipe. So that was just a great job. You get good view here. Oh, he goes right inside in that area right below the stick, but right at the hip. That's an excellent finish. If you're going to shoot near pipe from that angle, that's where you go all the time. Overhand, down low, so you change the trajectory. Another opportunity here.
And
great
another
finish.
Goal. Back-to-back scores from freshmen. First Kesselring, now Caffarelli.
That was a great finish. Huge spot, too. Huge spot by Caffarelli. Knows he's got to put it on cage. And you do. You put it on cage and you let it rip. It was close. It was close. Long he's looking up at the replay saying, yeah, he was in position. Caffarelli just put it by him. He put that weight into it.
Second goal of the afternoon for Caffarelli, and on the violation, Monmouth will get another possession, trying to get its 3rd goal in a row.
And you can't overstate it. They need it. I mean, you need to continue to keep going. You got to be aggressive on offense. And you got to put the ball on cage. Even if Long, who's playing very well, makes saves, you got to make him make saves. I can't say it enough. Got an opportunity here. You can hear.
Yep.
You could hear Coach Fisher saying, you've got the matchup we want, go to the goal. And that's what he did, just couldn't put it on cage.
9 minutes to go, 4th quarter. Goals from Kesselring and Caffarelli on Monmouth's last 2 possessions. Carcian tried to tee one up and it was deflected away. We run the other way with Towson after the defensive stop. Hund leading the charge in a Tigers goal. And just that quickly, they go defense to offense for Joaquin Villagomez.
Villagomez just took advantage. Plain point, so a point on the fast break. You've got it all. You can either shoot or you can dish. And he opted just to step down and shoot that from within 10 yards and just buried it.
And anytime your short stick defensive midi can initiate a fast break, Tim, it just gives your team such an advantage.
That was textbook because he went right down the middle of the field. He drew the point defenseman. That's how you draw it up. And that's how you draw it up. And that was just an unbelievable finish in the upper corner.
And every time Monmouth has put together a couple of goals, it did it once in the first half and did it now. Towson, and you know what, they've made the answer with goals, but really the answers have come on the defensive side.
Absolutely, because that goal started on the defensive side.
Yep.
You had a double team, 2 block shots. Looks like we may have had an offsides here, so it's another turnover. That was a good defense here. You got to stay aggressive. So what you should watch for, they're going to have to start double teaming. Coleman's going to have to start coming out of the cage, especially when the ball's behind. You need 6 goals, so you need 6 possessions. That's a possession a minute. You have no choice. It's just a numbers game at this point.
Right, and like we mentioned earlier, when there was little room for error, now there is no room for error. Monmouth in pretty much stop and score territory the rest of the match.
The good news is for lacrosse fans, we have a shot clock, which is great because then it speeds up the pace of play. You just can't, kill the ball in your stick and, work off, 3 minutes of the clock.
Oh, what an idea.
Like that. I don't know if Coach Nadal likes the behind the back there, but I like it.
Yeah, so DeMeo will be patient. He scored the first goal way back when, as now he'll pull it out, and we'll take another look.
Nice little feed here, and watch this. Boom, right behind the back, just missed. That's years and years of practice, being able to catch on the run, turn your stick, whip it around your body. That was a great angle. What a crew we have here on the broadcast, by the way.
Oh, they don't miss a beat. We've got great shots from behind the goal. We've got great shots from field level.
Field goal level. It seems, how are they getting that shot from behind the cage? I love it.
Just when you think we don't have an angle, Andrew just cues up another angle.
They find one
in the monitor, and he finds more cameras. And it's tough today because it wasn't just these 2 lacrosse matchups here with the women before the men. There was a softball doubleheader as well that was broadcast today. So they've got it literally all covered. And so when we're not ready, they put the camera on us like they just did.
I know. I'm here. I'm bent over. I'm staring at the screen, looking at my notes. I got my glasses on because I can't see. They even told us it was coming. I didn't know it was happening. Oh, that would have been a good opportunity for a step down there.
And instead, it's an opportunity the other way.
So they have numbers. It's a 6-on-5.
And a huge rip that came from Hund that went wide. Timeout taken by Brian Fisher and Monmouth. 5:51 to go here in the 4th. And Tim, here you'll get a look back at that opportunity for the Tigers.
Oh, that was great. That was great because it wasn't your traditional 4-on-3 like we saw them score on most recently, but it's just looking for that backside opportunity, and that trailer had an unbelievable opportunity. Great shot, just couldn't put it on cage. Need that additional caffeine.
I'm with you. I'm very caffeinated today, but I haven't eaten a whole lot.
Right, me neither. But here's what we talked about. So you got a double team right out of the timeout, 2 long poles. Everybody else is shut off. You do have an open goal. So Towson wisely doesn't take the chance, because if you miss the open goal, don't back up the shot. You give up the ball. But now what you're going to want to do, Monmouth, is wait, try to find an opportunity. You want 2 long poles. Try to get them behind. So Towson's doing a nice job of staying above the cage. Still attacking, still moving, and there's an opportunity and there's a finish.
And just sneaking in is Villagomez, who's done that a few times. How about that freshman connection? Weishart and Villagomez has connected a couple times.
There's a lot of good freshmen on both of these teams that are going to be battling for the next several years. So it's hard to say that Villagomez snuck in there at 6'5", but that's indeed what he did. That was a great shot, too, by the way. We've seen that several times. If you're a right-hander and you're coming around that side and you catch it, you want to make sure that you bury that just underneath the goalie's stick, but above his leg, so he can't kick it for a kick save, but it's not in his stick. That's just great. Great finish right there. It's the little things, Eddie.
Well, now, if you remember, too, Monmouth had a big advantage in face-offs earlier on, and it's still been a pretty efficient day for Matt Sutar, but hard to find fault with really anything that Towson's done on attack, on defense. We mentioned the play of Evan Long, saving about 53% of his shots. I think that's a number you've thrown out to me before a few times as well. This team is playing its best lacrosse of the season at the most critical time of the year.
Most critical time, and you look at any great team, any great coach. Let's talk about the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. It seems like every September his teams go 2-2, and they look like they're not going to be in it. And the next thing you know, you learn about your team, you learn about the offense, you learn about, what everybody else is doing, and then you make that run, and that's important right now. It would be different if Towson had beat Loyola, if they beat Virginia. That was a great save right there. And had the resume and beat a Denver, and then you have that resume out of conference to make an opportunity. But they know that they need to win this. So now it's just a matter of every day, guys, let's get a little bit better. No, Coach Nadelin he focuses on the little things, the controllables. No wasted days, and we'll see right here. Watch Coleman get down low. That's just a great save right there. Again, going with the splits, and we had talked about Eddie earlier in the broadcast. He is so good low, so good, and I think Towson knew that. And again, Towson's been shooting the ball very well. The shots that have gone in, especially up high, they're right in the corners. But again, Coleman down low is excellent.
It's funny you bring up the Patriots coach Belichick. He's not only a big lacrosse fan. And I know you know this, his daughter is the head coach of Holy Cross.
Yes, absolutely. When I was a volunteer for the women's program here at Monmouth, we had the opportunity to go up to Holy Cross and play them in an out-of-league conference, big Patriot League team. Beautiful campus they have up there, beautiful facilities. But, she has done an excellent job with that program, and it's nice to see. He's a huge lacrosse fan. His father was a behind-the-scenes guy at the Naval Academy for the football program for decades. So he grew up, went to Annapolis High School, played lacrosse again, and football in college. So he's got a couple Johns Hopkins lacrosse alums working for him now. So he was down at Hopkins last weekend for a game. Okay. So it's
2:49 to go. Penalty on Towson's Ray Glass.
That's a good poke check right there. It just seems like the range that Towson has on defense is really awesome.
It is, as Monmouth's able to get that man-up goal that they needed. And Sean Ketchen will get into the score column, the junior from Baltimore.
That was a great finish off hip, too. Went kind of sidearm to low and away. Excellent job there. Good. Look at that cross field pass. Excellent job. Little bouncer, too. Very nice finish right there.
Always want to try to, like you mentioned, convert. And I know just 2:26 remaining, but with a young team that is building and a lot of players that will come back next season, you look for all of those positives, especially when Monmouth wraps up its regular season on Friday at Drexel. And then on Saturday, Tim, this will be a fun matchup. Towson will host Delaware in its senior day and final game of the regular season.
That's going to be a good one. Again, while most likely at that point in time the field will be set, Delaware will be the #1 seed. I believe they will be hosting as well. But still, that's a game that Towson is going to want to figure some things out, because most likely those two teams will then play again. If all goes to plan for Towson, they'll matriculate and get to play Delaware again in the finals. So it's going to be a good one. We'll have to tune in for that.
Senior Perry Duran in goal for Monmouth now in the final 90 seconds. Yeah, if you look around the league, two teams came in at 4-2, Drexel and Stony Brook. Drexel fell to Delaware while Stony Brook won. So put the Seawolves now at 5-2, drop Stony Brook to 4-3. This Towson Tiger team will improve to 4-2 with this win. And it's going to make for an interesting final day of the regular season, because Delaware's in. Stony Brook's 5-2. They're going to most likely be in.
Yep.
Drexel 4-3, and then Towson will be 4-2.
So Monmouth will be out, Hampton's out. Looks like Fairfield then will be. Lot needs to go their way. But as we had talked about, next week it's a playoff atmosphere, just like it was today.
Yeah, and we came into play today, both of these teams being alive still in the postseason hunt, and the Tigers are going to take one pretty large leap forward to that postseason bid, at least keeping themselves very much in it. As Monmouth's able to get the goal late, Burke Webb, a senior, gets Monmouth's 10th goal of the afternoon.
Webb on senior day. Again, that was a beautiful finish. That lefty with some time. And again, Eddie, this is why, as a goalie, you never want to give up shots from right in the middle of the field, because he can shoot anywhere. Now there's a scramble. Nice job absorbing that check, finding the open man. Lefty overhand to that far pipe, which, forces Long to try to get over there. Just couldn't do it. But 15-10, like I said, this is not... we did talk about Monmouth getting the 10, but in order to do that, they would have had to make some serious stops by Towson. Towson was just, again, on their game today, all facets. Some things I'm sure Coach Natalin's going to want to clean up as they get towards the postseason. But, again, tough opponent, on the road. They took care of business.
Towson's third straight CAA win. And I feel like this is indicative of what Monmouth has done in year one in the CAA. You've seen the glimpses for a young team that will be a contender in this conference sooner rather than later. But when you go up against a more veteran team and a team like Towson with such pedigree, as Monmouth gets another late goal, it's hard to overcome that, as that goal comes from another senior in Cole Campbell.
You know what's great? Again, these seniors, they have done so much. And you know what I love? The reaction of both the bench and the fans. You might not be a regular starter, but what you have to do as a college athlete and the sacrifices you make, it's almost immeasurable, and they really don't have the typical college experience. So for them to get their opportunity here, senior day, the last home game of the season, it's just great to see.
On the first goal in the career of Cole Campbell is a nice way to end senior day for Monmouth, but a victorious trip to New Jersey for Towson. And the Tigers have now won 3 straight Colonial Athletic Association matchups and victorious over Monmouth here on Saturday, 15-11, one step closer to the postseason for the Tigers.
And we had talked about, even though the face-off battle, Sutar, did a nice job, won that matchup. It was just, you dig yourself that 4-0 hole, and you lose by 4 goals. I mean, it's just, that slow start really, really affected, the tenor and tone of the game today, just because Monmouth just doesn't have the firepower yet to make a comeback being down. But was a fun game nonetheless, though, Eddie.
Your final game stats brought to you by the Monmouth Medical Center and RWJ Barnabas Health. like Tim said, tells the story of a Towson team that led 4-0 after the first quarter. And then, like you mentioned so many times, Monmouth back and forth, they do battle, but ultimately lose by that 4-goal margin. They showed the fight that they have all year, but it's a Tigers team that is victorious 15-11.
And Eddie, you can see there the turnover differential, was hard to overcome. Face-offs in favor of Monmouth, saves in favor of Monmouth, but I know the score may not be as indicative of, Towson really, they held serve throughout, and they really just did not let Monmouth get back in the game.
No, they didn't. And every time Monmouth would go to make a run, Towson would have answer after answer. 5 goals for Kyle Berkeley, the all-league selection from a year ago, with a big effort here this afternoon. 3 goals apiece for a couple of freshmen in Mikey Weishart and Joaquin Villagomez. 2 goals for Josh Weber, and a victorious outing in New Jersey for Towson. 9 saves for Evan Long. Monmouth was led by Connor McCrae's 3 goals, 2 goals apiece for 2 of their freshmen, and Ty Caffarelli and Caden Kesselring, and a goal for Cade Stratton. Andrew Cullman, Tim, makes 13 saves. He's tested all afternoon. And then ultimately, just a little bit too much in Towson, overwhelming Monmouth early and then winning it late by this 4-goal margin. And Berkeley, Tim, so good.
And that's what I was going to point out. While we did not highlight him, you can just see his frame. Very smart. This is another opportunity, just recognizing the advantage that he has. Here's just a shot with speed on it. So he can do things in a lot of different ways. Watch the fake here, brings it back in, finishes low. So a lot of, and watch this one. He absorbs 3 checks, goes through about 4 Monmouth defenders to finish it off. Not afraid to sacrifice his body by getting to the middle of the field and puts the ball on net.
Final game of the day in the league, and it moves Towson to 4-2. Remember, Delaware's in the tournament. Next week's final regular season weekend will be an important one for the rest of the tournament field. The 3 remaining teams will sort themselves out between these finals and then next week. We know the Blue Hens are in, and this Tigers team, who's going to want to play a hot Towson team come playoff time? I don't think anybody.
I don't think anyone, honestly. I would not. I would not want to want to face this team. That's been getting better throughout the season. That just does a lot of little things. And like I said, I think the only thing is they would want maybe a little bit more offensive depth. But if your key players, come playoff time, your key players have to make key plays, and that's what it boils down to.
Well, those key players for Towson made the plays they needed to this afternoon, whether it was Evan Long in goal, a stellar defensive effort for Towson, or the balanced attack. It all adds up to a 15-11 win here in West Long Branch. As we now welcome in Coach Sean Nadalin. And Coach, congratulations on the win. 3rd straight CAA win for your team. Your impressions here this afternoon of what your team did well en route to this 4-goal win.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Anyone in the CAA is a good one. But, I thought the first quarter we came out, we played pretty well. I didn't think we played great through the second quarter. Came out in the third, did a decent job. Credit Monmouth, they played hard. They were kind of battling with us through that third and into the fourth. Made us had to go kind of goal for goal. So I was glad our kind of first midfield stepped up and gave us a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, Coach, congratulations. This is Tim McGeaney. Well, talk to us a little bit about Berkeley and the game he had today. He really stood out for you on the offensive end.
Yeah, he's been a guy that's struggled a little bit. He gets a lot of attention from other teams. Monmouth decided to short stick him but slide early, so it's not something that's uncommon. But I think him getting a short stick, he felt a little challenged by that, and then he took advantage of it. And the guys around him did a really good job of getting him the ball off the ball movement and maybe not having to make him initiate so much. And he was able to kind of find those gaps off of the ball movement, get inside on the defense, even stick some from the outside too. So he was feeling it early and was able to sustain that throughout.
And Coach, you mentioned it, getting contributions from one of your veterans, but also the younger players really stepping up today. 3 goals apiece, Mikey Weishar and Joaquin Villagomez. So whether it's the older guys or some of the younger guys, this Tiger team looks to be rounding into form here at the most important time of the year.
Yeah, we need goals any way that we can get them. I don't care if face-off guys, long poles, or the young guys. We'll take goals. And this is the time of year where you want to be playing our best. We've emphasized that to our players. We want to continue to kind of keep working to get better, but really start hitting our peak. Not really the way we wanted to finish the game. Fortunately, we had a little bit of a good enough cushion to finish that one out, but something to definitely build on.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. Congratulations on this win. Best of luck in the regular season finale next week.
Great. Thanks so much, guys.
That's head coach Sean Nadel. And Tim, I'll give you the final quick word before we say goodbye.
Again, I just think it was, and Coach hit on it, it's having players that can do so many different things on offense, but he said it. It's the CAA. We knew it wasn't going to be an easy game. And it wasn't. And it was not, and one that which Towson prevails 15-11. For our entire crew, my broadcast partner Tim McGeaney and our producer Andrew Kurtz, I'm Eddie Acapinti saying so long. This has been a presentation of the Monmouth Digital Network. Full day of lacrosse here in West Long Branch, and in the second game, Towson victorious.